So this is gonna feel a little weird. We're gonna be feeling a little alone right about now. Wow, calling me out here. We just you and me. Take me to my palace. Oh? Okay. Sorry, trying to get my controller working. It's not. Okay. Okay, sure. So they want to go to Iox. Which I think is our... Ooh. This is another ancient site. Alright, the trigger's hazing me. Sorry, I got really discombobulated by controls for a second there. The unknown ancient site, and Renba's lost observatory. I guess I'll follow through the story for now. Just let this guide me. And hopefully we get 6 back. I feel bad about that at the moment. I don't know how to follow up on this, and the person who did it is not that invested in 6. Either path leads to our destination at this junction, Alberathian rat. Alright. She's very rude all the time. I'm gonna take a rest. Time to make some progress. Okay. Jeez. Look at this place. It's changed. This was a palace. A place of comfort and luxury. A place of respite. Now look at it. Iox is comfortable enough. Then you have never experienced true comfort. Ma'am, you're a robot. I will require my other face. That's better. What? Oh, that's unnerving. She's gonna pretend to be 6. Why are you still helping me, NK? I am not helping you, you are helping me. I will wait here. You don't want to see Miari? That woman. That woman is my primary user, Aliya. Ooh. Now we've hit the point where 6 doesn't want to see Miari because she controls her. That is an interesting flip. Are you telling me you're afraid of her? If someone had the power to make you destroy yourself simply by asking you to, would you not be afraid? Take whatever time you want. Tell whatever lies you must. Well then, if this wasn't her goal, what would she want me to do here? Because she said we need to come here. Aliya. Good of you to grace the university with your presence. I came, but I couldn't join in. Why not? Too good to pay your respects? I don't follow the loop. No one gives a dead dog what you believe, Aliya. Aliya, is there something you want from me, or are you finished here? I want to know what happened to my friend, Timor. To who? Timor, the bartender on Albereth. A bartender? No idea what you're talking about. Aliya, you must understand. I spend most of my time in this office. I don't believe you. I don't care what you believe. I'm sorry about your friend. She is just awful to talk to at all times. Professor. The crown I found, Professor. You've stopped asking me to bring it to you. Don't worry about that, Aliya. Did you steal it from Elbereth? And what would it have been doing on Elbereth, Aliya? A precious artifact of huge historical and religious significance? This all sounds very hypothetical to me. You don't get tired of stealing things from Elberethians? The way I stole a life of poverty from you? I tire of your petty squabbles, Aliya. I know you will never love me as a daughter, but please accept that I do love you as a mother, however much you disappoint me. Oh, she is just insufferable. And this conversation directly conflates colonialism with parental relations. Both because we're somebody that was taken from a colony, essentially, and the way that she exploits the people of that planet, while also seeing herself as this paternal or maternal figure in this situation. It's interesting to get to, at the risk of spoiling stuff a little bit, like that. It's part of what I'm trying to write about with Myst, is that I find it very interesting how that franchise is entirely about conflating parental relationships with colonialism. Like that is every story in Myst, like all of them, over and over again. They keep telling the same story like that, really consistently. I tried that word, Sleeset. It does something to the robot, doesn't it? The robots are machines, Aliya. They have a few curious features. It's some kind of override. Control them with. The ancients who built the robots did not see them as individuals, the way that we see them. They made them, and thus they saw them as tools to be fashioned. But robots are people. Or as good as. You surprised me, Aliya. Of all the people here, I thought you were the one who truly saw robots as they are. No different than forks, or laundry machines, or hopper eyes. You must be softening. How did you learn this word? A few are known, to a few of us. You can understand why the knowledge is not shared. Doniki found a huge ship buried in the dust. Much bigger than anything we can sail. A gigantic ship? That's what he found? Just the kind we will soon build, then. Do you know how Janiki's ship might have exploded? I imagine he didn't know how to sail it. I told him to take a robot. Oh, he didn't have a robot. That could have put him in danger. But he would have been avoiding a robot because the robots report back to her. There's something I wanted to ask you. Professor, you must have known why Renbo was exploring the Nebula. I did know. At first, anyway. I'm sorry I didn't tell you, Aliya, but... You didn't trust me. You're not the easiest person to talk to about my beliefs. They were Renba's beliefs too, you know. What beliefs? You understand the loop, Aliya, even if you deny it. You understand that everything which happens will happen again, and everything which happens has happened before. I thought the loop was about reincarnation. It is, We have lived many times. But however often you live, Aliya, you cannot escape who you are. I can't understand how you could be so sure. You sound so sure. We live in a nebula built from loops and cycles. Day and night, birth and death, present and past. We are the breath of the nebula. This is all common sense. Children understand this. That's dumb. Okay, day and night happen. It's not the same day and not the same night. Even every day itself is longer or shorter. Yes, that also happens in a loop, but like every year is different. Like, so it's not really the same thing. Just because a thing goes in a circle doesn't mean that everything is a cycle. Not everything is a cycle. Knowledge isn't. Knowledge increases. Precisely. Until knowledge is lost. The fall, Aliya. Remba was looking into the fall. Iox fell, Aliya. The Empire collapsed. Our protectorate is the Empire of old, and the fall will come again, and if you are not ready for it, you will not survive it. Well, why would we prepare for the fall if you yourself claim that it's all predestined, and you can't escape who you are, and so you either survive or fail at the fall because it happens the same way every time? Like, this seems contrary. The fall was nearly 350 years ago. It's ancient history. You are quite wrong. Remba found something inside one of his robots. He found the cause of the fall? I don't know. The robot told him something. Set him digging up something on a moon near Elbereth. He hired laborers from the Elbereth markets to do the work. And then I heard nothing, till he sent me that brooch. But the robot knew about the fall, Aliya. The robots. The robots know everything. But what do they know? Everything. If we are to survive the fall, Aliya, we must understand it too. It is coming, and soon. Do you really believe this? I'm growing tired of your cynicism. Find the observatory, whatever it is. Find out, and then come and tell me. Why didn't you tell me what Remba was doing earlier? Why did you keep it secret? Aliya, I've always treated you as warmly as I'm allowed. You know that. Allowed by whom? As your robot would say, we all have our primary users. Who's controlling you? I spoke to an ancient voice from the Empire, Professor. It had been stored into a figurine and forgotten, but it was still alive. What did it tell you? You don't seem surprised. Recordings like that were once common in the Empire. Recordings of important people. The Emperors believed in the loop, of course, but they still feared death. Even Emperors have to die, thankfully. The loop sustains us all, Aliya. The death of the Empires feared was the death of future. They feared the fall. The Emperors knew it was coming, and they guarded what they could against it. Stored whatever knowledge they could. You've found devices like this before. Of course we have. You travel with one. 6 to me, Professor. Oh, here comes 6. Is this gonna be a problem? Slay set. Ang set. Set Siang. What language is that? You don't know? It's ancient. Rambo discovered a few of the controller words for the robots. Set Siang. It wants you to ask it a question. It sounds a lot like Elbereth patois. I knew it was old, but I'm only guessing here. Kisreth? Kisreth I angset bo oyoya. I'm only guessing here. Oyoya? Oyoya I iya yasimor. I almost understand. Almost, but I don't. What is it talking about, Aliya? Give me a moment. I'm only guessing here. Maikis. Maikis I kispo e. Soleho? Soleho aya himoike riari. Helmike? That's a pretty bad thing to call someone. But then so is Salehua. Aberethians really are talking in ancient. Remember a few words of patois anyway. Helmike? Helmike I Yahoa bo rifa. Katkis. Katkis e hua bo yaki fiselel. How is 6 talking ancient? I think all robots speak ancient internally, but Renba found a way in, a word. Malefar. It means fall. Mia? Malefar? Wetsal Malefar ori orbeth. Etiokis Malefar bo make sibor. Saying that, okay, that's gonna be difficult. That's as far as I've managed to go. Aliya, I need you to do better. I already found what Renba found. A boat buried under the dust on a moon off Elbereth. It had nothing to do with Iox, nothing to do with the fall. I need to go further. Perhaps you can. Setsyang. Malefar. Wetsal Malefar Moriebreth. Katkoi Malefar Bobek Sibior Kat Setsyang. Mori is Elberethian patois. It means near. Miamek is a robot. Perhaps Mek is similar. It's waiting for an answer, I think. Menya Kikat? Menya Kat I Boyaku Kacha. Himyaki is a patois word, Professor. It means essentially grow old and die. Setsyang. Malefar. Wetsal Malefar Morobrat Himanikat. Setsyang. It loops this part. Wetsal. Wetsal Malefar Oriabrath. Wetsal en Yaki Fisya. Setsyang. Malefar. Wetsal Malefar More Ebret Katsal Malefar Bo Ebek Setsyang. It's a long one. Mistress. Excuse the interruption, Mistress. Oh, you're back. I don't believe I have been away. But something has come into my mind. Ketiokis Malefar Himiket, Iox, the fall, the place of decay. The Withering Palace, Mistress, we have been there. And what did you find? There had been robots there, Professor. The robots were gone. You think the robots brought about the fall? Impossible. Is the university flourishing? I think so, Aliya. Perhaps one day you'll spend a bit more time here and see for yourself. You have more books than Huang. Those books are not his. Nor are these ones mine. What does that mean? Is there a copy of Mazwai here? Of course. You know Mazwai was a sailor and a scholar. Like me, you mean? Perhaps. Perhaps you'll write a book before the fall comes again, Aliya. Well, you make the book sound really pointless in that context. As it survives. Nice view you have from here. Yes, it is. There are a few other trees in Iox, of course. I would happily chop them down if I kept this one going a little longer. Good faith to you, Aliya. That was interesting. Also, every step of the way, nothing about this interaction went the way I thought it would. Is 6 coming? I guess so, just like eventually. How were you betrayed? I led a vengeful army through the palace gates, and after we slaughtered them all, an army turned on me. Though they did not dare to kill me, they buried me alive. You're talking about the fall of Iox? It was my empire to destroy. I brought it down. We must leave now. Time to depart, Aliya Elasra? Thanks, NK. Every step of the way, that conversation did not go how I thought it would go. Kept going in different directions until eventually we're just talking to the fucking console shell of our robot in its language, like it's a command tree. Let's take the river. I will ready the braces, Aliya. Now it's Nelbreth. My friend's there. Just sort of says I could go there next, but doesn't say why. Huh. I think we want to go here. It's the place we've narrowed down the most. We have the highest chance of finding it. I don't know why the game's pointing towards Elbereth. Maybe there is some thing I can accomplish still there, technically. We got a lot more out of Miari this time than we did approximately 10 hours ago when I first went back to her. It has been almost as long again as it was originally before I went to her. Now where are we? Why does it keep happening? The way through here is through unknown waters, woman. Why did you destroy Iox? It had become no better than the mechanicals I overthrew. A cruel and selfish place. Like you. It was time for it to fall. What a confident claim to make. I can single-handedly judge this entire civilization and decide that it's worth destroying. Oh, she is my name. Yeah, they had to rewrite a lot of this for her now. Go and rest your weak body. Okay, I am actually closer this time, I think. We have reached uncharted waters, Aliya Elasra. I am superior to you in every way, but for some reason I need you to do these parts. There's an example of the rock that just sticks out in front of the river and you clip through it. Here's another one. Not quite, but that one will. Yep. It draws... It makes the times where they want you to dodge rocks funny, because there's parts where the entire path is covered in rocks. The Empress hauled my ship around with skill, and vigor, and speed. Where Six has been cautious, she was reckless. Where Six has been uncertain, she was fierce. This feels like a weird claim because 1, I'm not going any faster, and 2, I've always been controlling it. She treated it like a hacksaw, or a hunting dog, or a tiresome lover. Oh. When that dick just don't hit right. I believe the unknown ancient site should be in this vicinity. Can you see it? Might I suggest turning left? Aliya Elasra, coming into view up ahead. On the left. A structure of some kind. Oh, she learned my entire name. The unknown ancient site is somewhere here. Somewhere, child. Glitter. But I do not know where. Welcome to the move slow zone. Bzz. This is a region of minor flow once more, Aliya. Just follow sparkles, any sparkles. And eventually we'll find something. This is fascinating because from Aliya's perspective, a lot of history has become less history. She's been interacting with history in a way that feels impossible. Are we sailing around in circles? No. We just started. What? Unless we follow the path. We definitely are not going in circles. We just started. They're re-explaining the sparkles now. A ruin. It is a ruin from ancient times. Why don't you wait, Aliya? I found a glass jar. Just floating out there? On the lip, an etched phrase. So? What does it say? I have no idea. Why would I know? I had scribes for that kind of thing. I was wrong about who was talking once again, because you can't tell. There's a few words in this one. Okay, so now we've now lampshaded the question of, like, don't we have someone who speaks ancient now? So, like, doesn't that throw the entire premise out the window? Nope, she had scribes. She's illiterate. That was somebody else's job. Ugh. The lowborns. Reading? I could never be so cringe. Something's probably wrong. And of treasures of myself skies. This originates from the exact place we're after. We must be nearly there. That was interesting. We started reading an incomplete thing, but we didn't actually go back and correct it or fix it. I never filled in the spaces. Were they all things we already knew? I'm not sure what happened there. That was a bit weird. Yeah, from our perspective, we've been reading old messages with no interaction. Then very rapidly, very abruptly found an eye that was talking back to us. It was listening to our questions and responding whenever we talked, if we looked at it. So it was a real-time test of our language. So of course it was in this place that was full of poison air. Because if we had unlimited access to that location, you could just sit there and actually talk to it until you figured out the language. Would have blown the whole thing wide open. That's huge, because it's this supposedly dead language, and then you find an example of it still living, responding. You get a chance to try it. And then we find out that this spoken language that Elberethian is descended from is ancient. It is the ancient language spoken, which does help explain why the grammar is the same, despite not knowing the words. Like why we can essentially translate to what we understand as being English, because there's a common history there, even if all the words are confusing. But it also highlights this idea that, like, knowing how to read a language and knowing how to speak it are so different. Is that it? Is that what we're looking for? Let's see what's down there. Even if the symbols are equivalent to the spoken words, knowing how to convert them back and forth is a challenge. The shape of a written language does not necessarily, especially when they're often not phonetic, doesn't necessarily give you the idea of how to pronounce it.
We made our way between ancient clustered trees. The air seemed to hang from their branches, dank and heavy, like wet cloth.
Now that we've found something, this place is thriving. What are we expecting to find here? What lies in the heart of a forest? Water, Elberethian. We're making the river we need? We've confirmed that she can put her old face back on, so she might have been like this the whole time in that prologue we played originally, just using their face. There's a way through here. Can your tracks handle the ground here? I will pick my way forward somehow, Aliya. Please just try not to trip over your feet. That's interesting. Here. Curved marks, grooves. And the stone, under the moss, overlapping like the scales in a snake. Tracks? From some kind of enormous stone-grinding creature? They'll be from the blade of whatever tool dug this canyon, although I cannot think of anything capable of carving on this scale. You think this canyon was dug? Naturally. Entropy creates plains, not winding channels. The rivers wind. Water does. Really? Imbecile. Water cannot carve a canyon. Even a simple dam can hold it back. Okay, so she doesn't know shit. Like most people that rule the world, she is not an expert in most things, and just speaks confidently from a place of privilege and has no fucking clue what she's talking about. Is this a path? There are no paving slabs, no guard posts. But as a geologist that specifically has taken hydrogeology, I am infuriated. A dam can stop water. How could it possibly carve a canyon? It's cold. The mist. I've not seen mist like this since Mercy. But I thought she was about to drop a revelation on me that all these places are man-made. Like, I thought they were going to be like the Halos from Halo. They're all artificial planets, and that's why they're supposedly... I think they said they were thin and flat on some level, potentially. Like, they're not like... They're distinctly not planet-like. I'm still kind of dealing with the idea that maybe it's just Earth shattered like an egg into all these pieces. We're not the first to come this way. Look, something's been scratched into the rock and highlighted by the moss. This one is a broken fragment from an even... Sometimes it closes itself off before you can even finish reading it. Just seems mean. I believe you can be confident in your translation of flows. Wow, you're so helpful still. Then water for all flows here. Aw, it's a commune. That means your people weren't here, loser. Makes it sound like an aqueduct. It's lush enough. Was someone draining this moon? It's lush enough. A feasible theory, Aliya. We know that long-distance hoppers are possible. I don't know why she said it's lush enough twice. Just sneaks in sometimes. Not fallen branches, almost entirely overgrown, but not quite. They've been worked, jointed together with nails and screws, shaped, planted, riveted, lacquered. Part of a ship of some kind, maybe? Perhaps. It does not resemble any ship hole I have seen before. So it's old. Perhaps. Or perhaps it is something else entirely. I cannot imagine a boat of this size catching the wind effectively. Would anyone trust themselves to such a ship? How big does it have to be?
I brushed away dirt and scraped away the moss.
It's an iron old oil burner, decorated with an image of a circle. Looks like it dates from the earliest days of the Nebula. This comes from the same location as the iron oil burner we found in the ancient forest moon. But this, I'm sure, comes from somewhere impossibly distant. Does that mean that the moon linked to the ancient distant site? Perhaps linked directly. Whoever made this didn't add an inscription to the glass. Same source as the sextant and the piece of paper. Progress. More symbols here. This spot's dense. This one's a fractured piece of a longer... Nope. Water garden. We already know those terms. That's complete. Water garden. Must be the name of the boat. I cannot imagine such a ship surviving the rigors of space, Aliya. From the discoloration, I would say this boat has been in water. The lost river we saw in the library, leading from the ancient forest moon out into the depths of the nebula. Did it flow to the temple of the seventh god, perhaps?
The trees parted into a clearing around a listing statue.
By the wind. Nice to see a familiar face. Look at this base she's on. A bunker. Could it be more different than sitting on Mercy? Although perhaps the shape of that one was made to match this. More like the ramps and panels on the cratered moon than anything else here. It's some kind of mechanism. Perhaps you are suggesting it rotated, cretin, so she could look around. It looks like a spaceship, kind of. There's an inscription here. So I've already finished translating 2 things on this planet. Just trying to get the satisfaction of having stuff pay off and actually be usable instead of always fighting uphill every time we go anywhere. Something's wrong. Some of those little pieces are too small. Crossing out goddess next? No, it's crossing out with. Goddess gives water for Nebula. This place is an aquifer. I'm sure of it. Shards of glass at her feet. And a hole going down into the mechanism. Whatever it was, it's filled in with dirt. A lamp, perhaps, Aliya? Could be. It's certainly gloomy between all these trees. Oh, Roy would love this thing. You want to take it apart bolt by bolt. Is that what she did to your 3rd robot, Aliya? There's another disc on this side, but this one's intact. Reminds me of something we've seen before. I can just remember what. Foil? Strange thing. The glass is warm. Curious. Perhaps I could take a closer look, Elberethian. Can you? As you wish. Can you remove the glass, MK? Alright. Move out of the way. There. Can't make anything out down there. Just move away from the opening, Aliya. There is strong radiation emitting from the opening. Radiation? Outside your visible spectrum, but it is there. Its signature is very familiar, gutter rat. It's the radiation generated by a hopper. And this is a hopper source similar to the one at the Withering Palace. So this hopper is permanently hoppering. Someone set this place up and left it running. It would appear so. Are you saying it's still active? Yes, Aliya. A hopper is only emitting when it is active. Something below the ground is being transported right now, even as we speak. Hoppering to where? Somewhere out in the distant nebula? It's the water, right? The hopper is functioning. Therefore, it must be both receiving and being received. It is a long-distance connection.
Yeah.
And I think it's creating a river by... I think there is water down here, and it's sending the water elsewhere, and that is creating a wellspring. What happens if a hopper signal is blocked? The connection no longer exists, therefore the transfer does not occur. Whatever might have been relocated is not. Yeah, if it's always transmitting, it's totally creating one of the rivers. Line of sight. That's right, isn't it? Aliya, please, what are you doing? Something is hoppering off this moon right now. But if we stop it hoppering, we can take a look at it, right? Certainly, Aliya Elasra. And with luck, it will not turn out to be transporting noxious gas, sulfuric acid, or scorpions. Wait, something is happening. Weird period at the beginning. What kind of something? I can't see properly. I am detecting deep movement. Echoes from below. It's the water. This thing isn't going to make my hand fall off, is it? Quite depends on how long you stand there. Water, Aliya. Water's rising up through the ground, washing the soil away. There is a hatch. Let's hold our nerve, Enki. I would be disappointed in you if you were to stop now. So this hopper I'm holding hoppers water from underground. I knew this place was an aquifer. The hatch, Aliya. I believe the water below is about to force it open, Aliya. What happens if I just leave my hand here? The water rises above your head, and I cannot close my eyes. I would be forced to watch. The water's coming faster now, Aliya, pouring out of the hatch. And there's more water down there. I believe so, Aliya Elasra. Maybe you should cover the hopper. I can go back to the ship. A wonderful suggestion, Elberthian fool, but I regrettably have no hands. Interesting. This hopper really is doing something. Finally, Aliya. The water's falling back once more, flowing to wherever it goes. Something else has been uncovered, I think. But you can't see where the hopper beam is going. I believe I can, Popper. The signal from this hopper... Interesting. It points towards Iox. But you're serious? This place is where Iox gets its water from? If I were to shut this place down... Please, Aliya. I do not like to consider it. If the people on Elberth knew NK, honestly, I don't think they'd hesitate. They'd shut it down, and then trade water for work in the fields. Then I do not suggest we tell them, and I shall personally inform Professor Miyari at the earliest convenience. Sounds like I should cause a revolution right now. Plug the hole. There's a third disc here. They're all broken now. Where does this one point? I am unsure, Aliya. Somewhere we did not find, perhaps. The glass discs we saw must have worked to hopper the water away. When they're all blocked, it's got nowhere to go. But we used to transmit to multiple places. Now, through disrepair, all of them are failed. Something here. Stones? No. Shells. Like the ones from the necklace we found outside the Hermitage when Remba died. How'd they get here? Perhaps the ancients used shells for currency. Is that an absurd idea? Not absurd. But any currency which can be grown is unlikely to work well. You can grow shells? I guess you can. Like crab farming. I don't know. I'm tempted to upset the hierarchy and plug the sail. I need something I can plug the hole with. The stained fragment of sail from the cratered moon would probably fit. She would be unhappy about that. But for now, I definitely need to check out the hatch. Before I go and flood it. What's this? Mud-soaked flag. Some embroidery. I think the symbol itself is the one we've seen everywhere. Part of a longer phrase. Heavens move above us. Did I get them all right? Yes. Yay! They're all falling down. The heavens move above us. By the stars, that was a long one. That was easy enough. It's fine. It's fine. There must have been a pole here once. Marking the hatch, perhaps? The hatch, it's an ancient panel to an underground reservoir. Robots could go down and clear it if it became blocked. Most likely a robot was positioned inside. Would they teleport down? I don't see a ladder. When she says a pole was here, I guess it's because it could have been flooded over and covered in mud, so they needed like a flagpole to show its location. Symbols inside the hatch. But it isn't ancient. It's some kind of diagram. Lines, nodes. I don't know what it is. A diagram of the moons fed by this place? Wires and cables for a machine? There might be other hatches nearby. Maybe one with a ladder. I would hope you've had enough of climbing down ladders into underground death traps. No, it was a great discovery. I can't make anything out. Just darkness. There's some rope aboard the ship. There is. Approximately 3.5 meters of rope. It would not achieve anything. Should have longer rope, Aliya. Those are some rookie numbers. Oh, the hatch is not useful. Spores, Aliya. There are mushrooms growing down there. Mushrooms? Anki, I never doubted it. Oh, the moisture? Well, MK sucks, so if I can disappoint her, that's probably for the best. Let's just stuff this in here. As simple as that, then. Now the water on Iox is drying up? Not yet, Aliya. There is still water and flow. But soon. Poor old Miari. Wonder how she'll explain this one away to the powers above her. Here goes. Aliya, I can feel the water rising rapidly once more. Can you tell how much water there is down there? It is a wellspring, Aliya Elasra. Water is unlimited. A river runs below us. The water is warm. There are 2 other lenses on this dais, Enki. The moon transport water to multiple places. Is it a distribution point? It is when it isn't blocked, Aliya. This is getting deep now. I will hopper you away, servant. I am not bluffing. Oh, this is cool, watching it flood. Aliya, the water is still coming with some force. I do not think this is a limited source. The moon is flooding. Cool. So this was a hopper too. Presumably so, Aliya. Blocked now by dirt and forest detritus. Curiously angled. There's nothing in this direction. We are at the edge of the nebula already. We cannot remain here. Stand still, Aliya. The flag... The sail does seem admitted like a frail blockage. Like it would just give way. It would just float away or be jostled out. It does feel like a pretty big choice to make on relatively limited information, but, you know. If the game's gonna telegraph the idea that it might be good for Elbereth and bad for Iox, then it might be a good thing for everyone overall. You thought I was bluffing. I don't know why you thought I was bluffing. Of course I was not bluffing. I didn't think you were bluffing. You never bluff. You're too boring. The water on the surface below is receding once more, Aliya Elasra. The water must have risen enough to force the fragment of sail out of the hopper. So I need something heavier. Perhaps, Eblarethian. There is a lot of water and nowhere for it to go. There can't be enough water for a river. There is endless water, Aliya. Water has more water behind it. This is the ineffable nature of water. Although I admit it seems a most curious property for a substance to have. The other hoppers in the dais, they're supposed to take the water away. They're supposed to make other rivers. Flowing where? We know this moon is connected somehow to somewhere further out. But I don't see any way of finding that connection. If there was a reason to try flooding that moon, then maybe we could. But I can't see one. You're gonna create the river that causes the end game, obviously. Let's leave this place. Perhaps we'll learn more about it elsewhere. I think we both need the means with which to flood it better, resource-wise, and like we need a better object to put there, and we need to convince Aliya why in the first place. I get it, but I don't think she does.